We invite you to open your Bibles to Psalm 96. Psalm 96. When you have found it, just open it up and leave it laying on your lap. You'll get around to it. Let us pray. Come, Holy Spirit, speak to us and through us. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Amen. Amen. There was a little boy riding in the car with his mother, and they were just talking and having a good time together, talking about just anything that came into their heads. And the little boy asked his mother a question. He asked, have you ever counted before, Mom? How high have you counted? Well, the mother thought for a minute, and she said she couldn't really remember just counting before. Then she asked her son if he had ever counted just to see how much he could count. He said, sure, all the time. Then she asked, well, how high have you counted? He said, 8,397. She asked, how could you remember that so well? He says, easy, because that's when church is over. Have you ever heard of an oxymoron? They are phrases or words that just, when you put them together, they seem to contradict each other. I'll give you some examples. Jumbo shrimp. Plastic silverware. Extended deadline. Doubting believers. Honest crooks. Free with purchase. Gourmet hamburger. Evaporated milk. All of those words, when used together, contradict one another. And this morning I want to share with you one more oxymoron with you. Boring worship. Sisters and brothers, true worship is anything but boring. Amen. The very essence of what worship is does not allow us to be bored if we come before the Lord to truly worship. Amen. When we come before the God of the universe and accept who He is, then we can't help but worship Him. Many come to worship service expecting to be led to worship, instead of coming with a heart of gratitude and love for God that automatically and perpetually has them in a state of worship. We should be coming to publicly express what we have experienced all week long. And when we come together in the sanctuary, we are here to publicly proclaim our love and adoration for God. You know that over the past 25 years or so, there have been many issues in the way in which churches conduct their worship service. There have been more church breakups and splits in what has been termed worship wars. Why are we singing this type of song? Or why do we do this? Or why do we do that? This is different and I don't like it. The truth be known, most of these wars are started with a single letter word, I. It's all about me and what I want, what I prefer. But this morning, let us look at the kind of worship King David wrote about in Psalm 96. Let's go to that song. sing a new song to the Lord. Let the whole earth sing to the Lord. Sing to the Lord. Praise his name. Each day proclaim the good news that he saves. Publish his glorious deeds among the nations. Tell everyone about the amazing things he does. Great is the Lord, and he is most worthy of praise. He is to be feared above all gods. The gods of other nations are mere idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty surround him. Strength and beauty fill his sanctuary. O nations of the world, recognize the Lord. Recognize that the Lord is glorious and strong. Give to the Lord the glory he deserves. Bring your offerings. Come into his courts. Worship the Lord in his holy splendor. Let all the earth tremble before him. Tell all the nations, the Lord reigns. The word stands firm and cannot be shaken. He will judge all people fairly. Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice. Let the sea and everything in it shout his praise. Let the fields and their crops burst out with joy. Let the trees of the forest rustle with praise before the Lord. For he is coming. He is coming to judge the earth. He will judge the world with justice and all nations with his truth. Yeah. Amen. First thing we see in the text is that we are to exalt the Lord. Yes. Scripture says, sing a new song to the Lord. Let the whole earth sing to the Lord. Sing to the Lord, praise his name. Notice that we are encouraged to sing 3 times here in these verses. Singing and music has always been a way of rejoicing and exalting and worshiping God. Amen. Since the creation, singing has been a part of worshiping God. In Job chapter 38, verses 4 through 7, we see this. God is talking to Job, and he says, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you know so much. Who determined its dimensions and stretched out the surveying line? What supports its foundation? Who laid the cornerstone as the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy? God said that the angels were singing and shouting for joy at creation. The world was created with joyful singing and shouting in the background, and we continue to worship through song today. Notice the song says to sing a new song to the Lord. That word can mean brand new, but it could also mean something that is precious or exquisite or delightful. It doesn't mean that every time we are together that we come up with a new song for worship. It also doesn't mean that we ought to sing the same old song over and over and over and over again. The service last Sunday was an example of singing an old but new song unto the Lord. I heard the choir singing, "There's a storm out over the ocean." And it's, what? Moving this whole way. And if your soul's not anchored in Jesus, it will surely drift away. That was an old new song. An old song with new love. When we sing How Great Thou Art, how can you hear and understand and sing the words of this song without worship? Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all thy hands have made, I see the stars. I hear the rolling thunder by power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior, God, to thee how great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior, You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise. Yes. To you. Yes. Come into worship. That's what we ought to do. Yes. How can anyone hear or sing this song and not worship the one we're singing about? As the church evolves and ministers in our world today, we ought to sing a new song to worship Him. Amen. God wants our worship to be fresh, not stale. God wants our worship to be vital, not resident. God wants our worship to be full and not just sitting there like lumps on the Lord. Yes. Amen. Amen. I've heard people say over and over again, I can't worship that way. That's too much noise for me. If the rocks, you don't cry out, the rocks will. Yes. Somebody ought to want to praise Him. Amen. Because you're in His house. Yes. Praise Him because He kept you all week long. Yes. Praise Him because He let you see another day's journey. Praise Him because you got another year old. Praise Him because He's been your comfort in time of a storm. Praise Him because He's been your hope in a hopeless situation. Praise Him because His love is everlasting. You ought to come to church ready to praise the Lord. You ought to come to this house ready to say hallelujah and thank you, Jesus. And if nobody joins you, stand up by yourself and say, I praise God for all that He's done for me. You don't know, I'm sorry. You can be quiet, but you don't know where He brought me from. You don't know how He's blessed me. You don't know what mountains He brought me over, what valleys He's seen me through. You haven't been with me in the heat of the day when God has been on my side. That's right. We're not only to exalt His name, but we are also to explain His greatness. Second part of verse 2 through verse 7 tells us this. Each day proclaim the good news that He saves. Scripture says, publish His glorious deeds among the nations. Tell everyone about the amazing things He's done. The Lord is great. He is most worthy of praise. He is to be feared above all gods. The gods of other nations are mere idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty surround Him. Strength and beauty fills His sanctuary. All nations of the world recognize the Lord. Recognize the Lord is glorious and strong. Right? Amen. When we teach through Sunday school, and through the sermon, we are explaining His greatness. When we get together and study His Word in Bible study classes, we are explaining His greatness. When the children of Israel gathered together after exile, we are told in Nehemiah 8 that they read from the book of the law and clearly explained the meaning of what was being read, helping the people understand each passage. They opened the book. They opened the Word and explained the greatness of God. Read a story about a guy who had been on a hunting trip out west, and the guide asked them if they wanted to go to church with him. And this guy did. And he said throughout the whole service, the Bible was not read, quoted, or even talked about during the whole service. And he said he left there wondering how these people could say that they were worshiping a God that they didn't even mention. The greatness of God must be explained and proclaimed in our worship service every time we gather. Amen. When we come into this place, we have to recognize who is God and what He is in our lives and in our church. 2 Timothy, Paul urges Timothy to preach the word. He says, because people will come and start preaching and teaching just what people want to hear. And that's not what God's word says. In the true worship of God, we must be open to His word. The Let me tell you about His Word. His Word can heal, and His Word can cut. Come on, come on. Sometimes it'll cut you to the bone. But every cut the Word makes is for your health. It's to make you whole. Back when science was not a mainstream in our world, one of the ways people thought they got healed was by cutting and bloodletting. And they would cut, they say George Washington might have lived if he hadn't let so much blood out. All right? Bloodletting is cut for healing. Well, God cuts too. But His cuts really do heal. His cuts really make us whole. His cuts put us together and not tear us apart. Next, we see in order of truly worship, we must express our love for Him through our offering. Uh-oh, Reverend. I was with you up till now. Now you ain't gone too far. You didn't cross the line. You got inside my pocketbook and I don't play that. But verse 8 says, give the Lord the glory He deserves. Bring your offerings and come into His courts. There's a preacher that had been asked to come and fill in for a pastor one Sunday. He took his 8-year-old son with him, and they went into the church, and at the table in the foyer, as they walked into the church, there was a box with a slit in the top of it, and a sign that just said alms. Well, the preacher pulled out a $20 bill, put it into the box, went on into the church. The preacher preached his sermon, got all the accolades that visiting pastors usually get about how much the people enjoyed the sermon. And as they were walking out the door, the chairman of the budget committee called him and said, "Preacher, we usually give the visiting preacher the money that's here in this alms box." He opened the box, and there was a lone $20 bill. He gave it to the preacher and thanked him again for his great sermon that he preached. In the car on the way home, the little boy looked at his dad and said, "Dad, you know, if you had put more into the box, we'd have got more out." This is the health and wealth plan part of the sermon. Brothers and sisters, we get out of worship what we put into it. That's right. When we bring our spiritual gifts and talents to the Lord that He's given us and give them to Him as an offering, oh, we'll worship Him. When we teach Sunday school, when we lead worship, when we use our voice to exalt Him, when we do offer the finances that He has blessed us with, when we surround our lives with Him and offer to Him all that we have, we are worshiping Him. Some of us will worship God up to the point when it comes time to give. Amen. Amen. We'll sit on our hands. We say, "I'm not giving them people that money." Well, you stopped worshiping, didn't you? You've gone from worshiping to signifying. And the reality is God has called us into worship. One thing I've understood, and wherever I've been, whatever church I've served in, when I give, I don't give it to the church, I give it to the Lord. And as I give it to Him, He blesses the church with it. He blesses the community with it. He blesses our denomination with it. Every time I put money in the tithing box, I'm reminded that I'm supporting the CME Church, and that I support the CME Church that supports schools and hospitals, that support ministries going elsewhere. When I give it to the Lord. Amen. What will happen if we decide that we're going to give our all to the Lord? What will happen is that God will bless us with a healthy, thriving church that is in His will, and He'll pour out all the wealth of the Holy Spirit upon us to empower us to further His kingdom. That's how offerings give us as a people and a church health and wealth. Yes. Your offering to God are much more than your money. God wants all of you. God wants you to bring our offerings into his courts. When we realize that, we can truly worship. You can't worship and hold back.
Amen.
That's not true worship. Because worship asks for you to surrender. One of the things you've known over the years that I don't think is my strong suit, and probably with good reason, is singing. I don't necessarily think that I have a melodious voice. I never sang to my children because I wanted them to go to sleep. Singing may not be my strong suit, but I do realize that there's a part of me that unless I'm willing to give vocally my praise to God, I'll be missing out. And so I sing. You don't have to necessarily love it, but I sing. Try not to hurt folks. If you ever notice the time to sing, I usually back up a little. Cut you a break and me one too. When we worship God, we worship him with everything we've got. And recognize that all that I have comes from him. Amen. The gifts I have come from him. The talents I have come from him. The resources I have come from him. All that I have, all that I am is a result of what God has done for me. So when I worship him, I'm only giving back to him what he gave to me. I'm not all that great, but I can do the best I can to give God the glory, to give God the praise, to give God the awesome joy of being in his presence. Do you realize that God created you for his glory?
Amen.
He didn't create you to get that six-figure income. He didn't create you to have the finest of clothing and attire. He didn't create you so you walk around talking about how good you look. He created you for his glory.
That's right. Amen.
Worship the Lord, Scripture tells us, in all his holy splendor. Let the earth tremble before him and tell the nations, the Lord reigns. Yeah. Listen, we ought to tell everyone that he's coming.
Yes.
He's coming.
Yes.
Scripture tells us he's coming to judge the earth. He will judge the world with justice and the nations with his truth. We need to tell him he's coming. We need to let the world know, get ready, he's coming.
Yes.
In the meantime, while we wait on him, we must declare that grace abounds, because even as this meal we will share in just a few moments reminds us that Jesus is the Lamb that takes away the sins of the world. We ought to be reminded when we come into the house of worship that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. We ought to remember that he came down through 40 and 2 generations. We ought to remember that he went out on Calvary's hill. There he bled and died, that you and I might have a right to the tree of life. We ought to remember when we come in here on Sunday morning that it was early one Sunday morning that he got up with all power in his hands. We ought to remember the sacrifice he made, that the reason we don't worship on Saturday but worship on Sunday is because of what happened on that great Sunday morning. We ought to be remembering that Jesus paid it all, that all is here by the Lord, that sin and death of things who came when he washed me white as snow. Some folk may have given up on you. Some folk may think you're no good and nothing good about you. Some folk may call you all kinds of names. But remember that Jesus loves you with an everlasting love. We say it all the time. Time is winding up. And indeed it is. But as it winds up, God has given us the opportunity right now to embrace faith in one who so loved the world that he died on Calvary's cross. God has given us the opportunity right now. And every time we come to this meeting, we remember 'twas for me that he was slain on Calvary, that Jesus shall lead me night and day. Jesus shall lead me all the way. He is the truest friend to me, for I remember Calvary.
Amen.
When we come to the altar and take this meal, it is indeed an act of worship. When we come before the throne of grace, contrite, humble, and grateful for what he's done for me. This morning I challenge you to worship God. Don't wait on me. Don't wait on somebody to get you started. I was thinking as I was preparing this sermon, y'all can't wait on Reverend Neil no more. She won't be here and get you excited. So you can't wait on that anymore. You can't wait for the choir to hit the right note, for the musician to play the right key. You can't wait on that anymore. You just have to worship God. We say it all the time, but think about it. We say, when I think of the goodness of Jesus, all that he's done for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. We say it. But then when we finish saying it, we take our seat. They fold our arms, cross our legs, and wait for somebody to move us. Amen, walls still on the floor. I know you witnessed it all. But in reality, you ought to come to this place ready to shout hallelujah. You say, what I got to shout about? Are we yet alive? To see each other's face? Reverend, you don't know the burdens I bear. Yeah, but I know who a burden bearer. And a heavy load sharer. So this morning, as we prepare to receive this holy sacrament, you must worship him. And they that worship the Lord must worship him in spirit and in truth. So I don't know about you, but I'm ready spiritually to worship my God. And I pray that you are too.